Hello and welcome back to Genesis Designs and Modelcraft, and welcome to another quick look review. And it's something a little bit different today, and this video is early, and it's early for a good reason, and that's because this product is currently on sale, linked to Black Friday. So in order for you to have the opportunity to maybe take advantage of that, I'm pushing this out a tiny bit early. And on top of that, the upcoming Advent Velvet is going to shuffle everything up anyway. So what have I gone out and bought on a whim today? Yeah, it was on a whim. I've bought these. Gaahleri. Let's call them Gaahleri. Gaahleri pens. These are pens. This is a set of 10 pens. Metallic marker pens to be precise. Now these, there's not much information on the advert, but it says here they're water-based acrylic ink markers, and I think the marker pen thing is really starting to take on some life in the hobby now. I mean, there are sort of new technologies making it possible, I suppose, but in this lovely little, very good quality looking cardboard tube are our 10 metallic coloured marker pens. Now I have coloured caps for quick reference, and then each pen has got written on it which one it is. This is number 3, dark steel, so on and so forth. So if you wished, you could make sure all of the caps were orientated correctly, and you can line them up in your drawer so you can see which is which, if you don't choose to keep them in the tube. So the colours are then aluminium, stainless steel, dark iron, gunmetal, zirconium black, red copper, dark gold, scorched gold and flashy gold. So nominally perhaps not the most useful colours for aircraft modellers, but let's have a quick look and see what those colours actually end up being. Well, in fact, first we'll look at the pens themselves. So they are, I mean, they're just pens, but they've got this particular type of tip in them. I've already used that one, so it's not obvious. Here we go. Here. Which is the same type of tip that you'll find in the AK marker pens. Now, the idea with these is that the nib retracts in, and you have to press it on a hard surface. So take your pen and you depress the nib. Do it somewhat gently so you don't end up crushing the nib. Do that a few times, and then the colour will flow into the nib, and that will then allow you to use the marker. So I'll put them in order. I will go through the colours on this piece of 3D printed resin fuselage and see what they all look like. Alright, I am that guy. I've lined up all the lids so you can see what's what down the left. They don't all fit under the screen though. So starting with number 1 then, GMMS01 aluminium. And I'm just going to colour a little bit onto this part. Just a small area. And I think it's very easy to see that that goes on quite easily. This is aluminium, and I'm going to put them back in the box when I'm done. There is aluminium. If I twist it in the light, hopefully you can see there does appear to be a reasonably substantial film thickness there, but it does dry off to something a bit more sensible. So second one in then, stainless steel. Get that flowing, there it goes. It's quite satisfying watching the colour flow into the nib. Stainless steel. I've not done any prep to the part, so any muck or dust in it is my fault, not the markers. Next one, dark steel, number 3. Goes. Very similar, although not identical to stainless. 4, dark iron. Number 5, gunmetal. Probably ought to shake them up as well, huh? They did just arrive last night via an Amazon delivery truck, and I suspect you don't get much more shaken up than that. This one's taken its time. There we go. Gunmetal then. Let's go up to the top. It's possibly quite easy to see that you can make some quite fine lines with these pens. Then we've got zirconium black. I did already use this one too, so I don't need to activate it. So this is essentially just a metallic black. Actually probably a good option for gun barrels. Next up is number 7, this is red copper. Number 8 is dark gold. Oh, that's nice. Then we've got number 9 is scorched gold. There it goes. And finally, flashy gold, number 10. You can see that the first few are starting to dry out now. It does take a while, and I found that with these type of pens, they often do take quite a while to really dry. There we go, flashy gold, the final, wow, it is as well. There we go, and I'll just do a single line to show the sort of line thickness you can do. We'll let those dry and I'll come back to you in a minute. Pretty much dry, not 100%, but I can lightly touch the first few now. And if I come up a bit closer, there you can see that the film thickness has relaxed back a bit and is really quite acceptable, certainly on this size of a model. You can see that the surface detail is unaffected, it's still perfectly visible, it's not filled it up. And you can see how sort of smooth and neat that paint layer is, and how the metallic particles also are lying smoothly and neatly. It's very, very impressive. I did no prep whatsoever. I didn't smooth this down or even clean it, so you can see there are some inclusions of some little bits of fibres and things in there. That's something you would need to be careful of with things like this, is making sure you clean up your parts, but that's normal for any paint application, is it not? So what are the competitors? What else is out there that's similar to this? I can only show you what I have here. So the first one I'm going to pull out is the AK. This is the AK Chrome, high gloss chrome pen, and this has the same type of tip, this sort of hard white fibre tip. You can't tell it's white anymore clearly, but it's the same retractable tip idea. And this, I did previously buy a Molotow chrome paint pen, which I saw various people using, and it worked beautifully the first 3 times I used it, and then it never worked properly again because the paint inside kind of separated and went weird, and it didn't leave a chrome effect anymore. So I was quite wary of buying this because these aren't cheap particularly, but so far, touch wood, this is actually working really well. And as a comparison, I'll just pop a little bit on this same test panel. This also does take a reasonable amount of time to really dry, and it is quite fragile even when it is dry. The next one, and the most obvious competitor I suppose, potentially, AK real colour markers that do have metallic hues in the range. Now the big difference here is this is a fixed nib and it is a flexible. It's much more like your kind of watercolour markers, felt tips. This nib does go to a fine point, but it's quite soft and flexible, so it's relatively difficult to be super precise with it once it gets worn in. But I'll pop a bit of, as you can see, pop a bit of colour on there with that one. I also find with these that they tend to benefit from having a couple of coats. Just the one coat possibly won't really suffice, but we'll let that dry out and carry on from there. And another one that I have is this is an SMS branded one. Now this is a bit different because this has the very fine sort of nib in it. Now this says it's a hyperchrome, high shine, bright gold. However, so far I've got to admit I'm not very impressed with it. I'll try it on here anyway. As you can see, it's actually nowhere near as shiny as the flashy gold from the Gaahleri range. So that's unprepared 3D printed resin, and you can no doubt hear the texture of the material when I was drawing on it. So again, for comparison purposes, I have here a Hasegawa P47 Thunderbolt fuselage. This is a 32nd Defiant, by the way. It isn't. Yeah, big fat aeroplane, the old jug. And I painted a few of the cowl flaps for different things. So the top one here, this is the AK real colour aluminium that I've just used there. The one beneath it is the Gaahleri aluminium. Then the SMS gold. Then this is the AK chrome, and this is the zirconium black. These are dry, and I'll bring them up closer. You can see there the finish on that aluminium is perfectly acceptable. The gold not so much. Not impressed with that. You can see that the metallic particles have flowed around and separated and set up little artifacts in the finish. There's the chrome and the zirconium black. So this is perfectly smooth Hasegawa plastic, very very shiny, and those have drawn on there and adhered to it without any problem at all. You can see that that gold is doing the same thing there without any help from me, that the pigments are separating out and you're getting a... So I'm going to say for me, for now, this SMS pen is a bit of a... is bin fodder, frankly. So, I suppose I should get to the principal reason I bought these. I was actually buying this. That's why I went on there. Seen a flurry of posts, but was alerted by my friend Andy Long that these Gaahleri airbrushes are also in the Black Friday sale, and I went on there to buy one of those. I will bring you a proper review of this in due course, but I want to use it a bit before I film. I'll do an unboxing and initial impressions, but I want to use it a bit to give a very thorough, rather than just a sort of a box review type deal, because it's more useful for people. But the airbrushes are currently on sale as well. So the pen set, 10 of these pens, cost me £18.99, so £19 or £1.90 each. And why that is significant is because of the cost of these. This one I think was about £6. This one I think was £7 or £8. And the real colour markers, what are they? £2-3 a piece. So the Gaahleri markers are significantly cheaper. But I think it's easy to see even from this very quick and very basic demonstration that they're at least equally as good as the competition. The normal price allegedly is £24, so even at full price they're still incredibly competitive with other pens on the market, at least when you buy them in a set of 10. I don't know what would happen if you wanted a solitary pen. I didn't see any sign of single pens being available, so that could potentially be an issue further down the line if you if you run out or whatever and you want to replace a single pen. You may not be able to. However, at the price that they're at, for the price of a couple of AK pens, you can buy another 10 of these. So I think the shades included in this set are very, very appropriate. I can see, hello A400, I can see lots of potential there for both, even for aircraft modellers, but for those of us that model motorcycles and cars, there's even more potential. I'm not suggesting for a second that you might go and paint a whole model with these, you wouldn't, but for doing small areas these are absolutely good enough, and I'll show you what I mean there here. So here's a wing panel, spare wing panel from the Defiant, and this has been sprayed with LP11 Tamiya lacquer paint aluminium, and so I take this MSO1 aluminium marker pen and I'm going to pick out a panel and there you go. You can see I've already done this one down here, so we don't have to wait for that to dry. You can see there in a matter of seconds I've picked out that panel in that slightly different shade. I was able to stay within the lines, and when it dries the finish on it is essentially indistinguishable from that of the sprayed on paint. Let's what's this one? No, let's not use zirconium black because that's not very... Let's take a dark iron. Easy as that. And a dark steel. You made a P51 and you want to pick out that panel around the exhaust. There you go. For things like that, these are absolutely ideal, and as you can easily see, that's so much faster and indeed easier to do than laboriously masking out tiny little panels and spraying them in with your airbrush. Okay then, there you go. Those are now dry, and you can see that's blended into the finish quite nicely. And being acrylic, you shouldn't have any problem overcoating them, although might be worth to be careful. Let's do a quick durability test then. Let's just suppose for an instant that perhaps we have done something like this and now we're mucking about with washes in that general area. So you need to know if your wash is going to pull this paint off or if you need to seal it in. So I've got some odourless turpentine. I'll just see if that's going to wash it off. It's taken a bit of colour off the black. It has taken that off there a little bit. some AK Real Colour pen down here. Just taking that off as well. So yes, it is. It's not wiping it straight off. If I come up close, you see, because of the print lines here, you can maybe see the slight lines where it's just attacked the colour very slightly. Or sort of, yeah, it has taken a little bit off, but it hasn't removed it in one fell swoop, so that is encouraging. So next, what I'll do is I'll pop a little bit of my proprietary X22 thinned with Mr. Colour Thinner into an airbrush, and I'll put it over these to see if it causes any reaction, because I think that's a fairly important thing to do in a test like this. So just bear with me a second while I prep that up. Alright, I've got some X22 in here. This is my Revolution 0.5. And this is mixed in the way that I would normally mix it for an intercoat, i.e. it's extremely thinned down. So this is roughly, let's say 75% Mr. Colour Thinner in here. So first off, I'll pop a bit over these strips, and I'm going to spray it the same way I normally would. Looks like a half coat. And that is a wetter coat. And I'll use the swing panel where I've painted the little areas. Again, spraying it exactly as I normally would for an intercoat, but this time you've also got the AK as a comparison down there. This won't take too long to dry, but we'll give it a minute. So is that. Which means that if it's going to modify the appearance of the paint, it already has done. It's not going to do it anymore at this point. So bringing you up a little closer there, you might be able to see that the lacquer thinners has just made the pen strokes very slightly easier to see in these two mid sort of brownish gunmetal a little bit, and it only did that when I added the second heavier coat, which is exactly what I would expect to happen. That extra bit of thinners just kind of essentially slightly reactivates the paint and allows it all to shift a little bit, but it hasn't ruined it. Actually, it is okay, and on the aluminium it's perfectly fine. Down here on our little wing panel, I can't see any significant effects to any of those areas. It looks absolutely fine. And now that it's sealed in underneath this layer of X22, then any potential effects by further weathering solutions should be minimal to zero, basically, because that's the whole point of using X22 as an intercoat. So yeah, all in all, I'm going to say that's a pretty successful test. Let's be rude to it and see if it scratches off super easily on these that haven't been, aren't fully dry yet. This is another point. I have done this in virtually real time with you, so these are, I can feel with the stick they could be a bit drier. So again, these slight effects, which have is slight, will become less if the paint was fully dry. So it does mark up with a cocktail stick, but it isn't just peeling straight off. It is not as sturdy as the AK, but the AK is a lacquer. This chrome isn't sturdy, we know that. So there you go. I'll try a fingernail. Yeah, you can mark it, but it's not just peeling off. So overall, I think that's a very impressive showing indeed. I think there's a huge amount of potential here for us as aircraft and armour modelers. I think these are kind of primarily aimed at Gundam type folk, but why restrict yourself? Very, very impressive, especially when you bear in mind the price. And like I said earlier, even at the standard alleged retail price of £24, I think these appear to be really rather outstanding value for money. And we'll see what the price goes back up to after Black Friday. They may not actually go that high, because oftentimes they do put some sort of slightly inflated previous prices in to think you're getting better bargains, don't they? So there you go. Gaahleri metallic marker colours, 10 of, in this beautiful little container. I'm actually very impressed with these. I can see myself using them quite a bit. I do use the AK marker pens quite a bit as it is. But these will be even better for fine detail because of the firmer nib. For picking out little raised details, it'll be dead easy with these compared to even the AK pens. So I think these look like an excellent little addition to the toolkit. And hopefully, if any of you are interested, the deals will still be there and you'll be able to get them yourself for the same price. I will put a link down below, an Amazon link for them. So if you're interested, feel free to use that to go and get yourself some of these marker pens. But P.S. I can't comment on longevity, obviously. I have found with, as I said earlier, the Molotow pen did not last, but that's chrome, which is a slightly different animal. This one doesn't seem to have done too well either, so that is an issue. So far I've had my AK pens for a fair while now, and they're all absolutely fine. They're still working perfectly, so as is this one actually. So I can't comment on longevity, obviously, so there is that caveat. So that's it for this one. Hope you all have a lovely week, and I will be back on or around the 1st of December with the first episode of the Advent build with a snack, and I hope to see you then. Thanks very, very much for watching. Special thanks, as always, to all my channel members here on YouTube and my members and supporters on buymeacoffee.com. And with all of that said, I think it only remains for me to say, until next time, look after yourselves, look after each other, and Genesis out.